Как ты считаешь, кто опаснее сейчас для Ислама Махачева? Арман Царукян или Атапурия?
Мое личное мнение, не то чтобы там опасен, скажем так, более конкурентен. Я думаю, что Царукян. Я думаю, Арман посерьезнее боец, чем Тапурия. Тапурия хороший боец у 66.
One of the most shocking behind-the-scenes leaks in recent memory, a previously unreported sparring session between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Alex Pereira. This wasn't some vague rumor or second-hand tale. The information came directly from Magomed Ankalaev, a top UFC light heavyweight contender who saw the action unfold with his own eyes. While preparing for his own title defense against Pereira, Ankalaev recounted how Khabib, despite being significantly smaller and technically retired, absolutely dominated Pereira in a grappling exchange. He didn't mince words either. Ankalaev claimed that when a real grappler like Khabib gets a hold of Pereira, he gets mauled. The fact that this sparring session took place and was confirmed by a fellow Dagestani with close ties to Khabib has added a whole new layer of mystique to the legend of Nurmagomedov. Fans are left to imagine just how devastating Khabib could be even at heavier weight classes, and whether Pereira, a dangerous striker but vulnerable on the ground, could ever survive against a pressure-heavy grappler like him. This leak may not result in an actual fight, but the image of Pereira being humbled in the gym by Khabib will live rent-free in fans' minds. Adding fuel to this fire is the bold attitude of Magomed Ankalaev himself, who has taken the opportunity to aggressively promote both his fighting career and his perspective on the Pereira rematch. In a rare and candid interview given to a Russian outlet,
Осуждаешь, что он так сразу хочет ислам?
Ну смотрите, ребята, я не знаю просто, какие договоренности были у Тапурии с UFC. Просто если смотреть со стороны ислама, ислам уже 2 раза давал шанс.
Ankalaev was far more animated than his typical English language appearances. His jabs at Pereira weren't just playful trash talk. He straight up called the Brazilian a chicken and accused him of avoiding a much-needed rematch. Ankalaev argued that Pereira is doing everything he can to delay or dodge a second fight after their initial clash, suggesting that the middleweight turned light heavyweight champion doesn't want to risk his belt again. This kind of psychological warfare isn't just theatrics. It's part of a larger narrative where fighters use the media and interviews to shape public opinion and put pressure on promotions. Ankalaev knows that if he can plant seeds of doubt around Pereira's legitimacy, he can sway both fans and UFC executives. These statements also reinforce the idea that Dagestani fighters like Ankalaev and Khabib bring an unmatched level of intensity, especially in grappling exchanges, and that Pereira's flashy striking may not be enough to protect him from elite-level pressure.
Ankalaev clearly won that fight. He controlled him for all 5 rounds with his pressure and his controlling on cage. And Alex have 0 grappling skills on the cage. Send him Dagestan 2-3 years and forget, because that's the only way he gonna learn.
Meanwhile, Kamaru Usman has set the MMA world ablaze by calling for what could be one of the biggest cross-divisional fights in UFC history, himself versus Islam Makhachev. In a recent interview, Usman didn't shy away from the challenge. Instead, he embraced it, framing the potential matchup as a legacy-defining moment that could solidify his place in the annals of MMA greatness. Usman emphasized that if both he and Makhachev win their upcoming respective fights, Usman against Joaquin Buckley and Islam against Jack Della Maddalena, the stage will be perfectly set for a blockbuster pound-for-pound clash. This wouldn't just be another super fight, it would be the current king versus the former one, 2 dominant champions colliding at the intersection of skill, heart, and history. Usman, despite being older and past his physical prime, still possesses a championship mindset and the kind of wrestling pedigree that very few can match.
The division now with Islam coming in and fighting Jack later this year, you get the pound-for-pound #1 guy in the world coming in.
Yeah, I love it. Islam comes up, I believe he's next to challenge for that title as a champion going up. You absolutely should get that opportunity.
Islam, meanwhile, is in his prime and has demolished the lightweight division. This fight, should it materialize, wouldn't just be for rankings or gold, it would be for glory, for legacy, and to determine who truly reigns supreme across divisions. What makes Usman's challenge to Makhachev even more intriguing is his attitude toward Islam's rise. Usman openly admitted that at one point he may have been annoyed by the idea of Makhachev moving up, potentially threatening his territory in the welterweight division. But time and maturity has changed his outlook. Now, he embraces the challenge, even expressing admiration for what Islam has accomplished. This type of transparency from a veteran fighter is rare and refreshing. Usman understands the business, he understands legacy, and he knows that true greatness is only earned through testing oneself against the best. A win over Makhachev would not only add to his resume, it would redefine it. And Makhachev, who has been seeking new mountains to climb after dominating lightweight, is the perfect foil. Their styles contrast beautifully. Usman's grinding wrestling versus Islam's chain grappling and suffocating top pressure. The narrative is perfect. The old guard versus the new, a passing of the torch, or a reclaiming of the throne. No matter how it unfolds, this potential showdown is more than a fantasy matchup. It's the kind of fight that shifts the landscape of MMA. While the future simmers with possibilities.
What do you think of the main event, Magomed Ankalaev beating Alex Pereira?
I know that Ankalaev gonna beat him if it's not lucky punch. We know like Pereira, he's so dangerous. He has a good left hook and kicks, leg kicks. But first,
another high-stakes situation is unfolding in the heavyweight division. Tom Aspinall, one of the most well-rounded heavyweights in the UFC, has finally addressed the status of Jon Jones. According to Aspinall, the Jones chapter is officially closed. Jones is retired, and the saga that dominated heavyweight headlines is now in the rearview mirror. But Aspinall didn't seem bitter. Instead, he appeared focused, rejuvenated, and ready for whatever comes next. The likely opponent? Cyril Gane. A matchup between Aspinall and Gane is more than just logical. It's electric. Gane is arguably the most technically sound striker in the heavyweight division, known for his fluid movement and dangerous kicks. Aspinall, on the other hand, is the more complete fighter, combining knockout power with elite-level grappling. The major question surrounding Aspinall is his gas tank. We've never seen him tested deep into a fight, while Gane has proven he can go 5 rounds without fading. If this fight does get booked, it won't just determine the next title contender, it will answer crucial questions about each man's future in the sport.
Is Jon Jones scared to fight you?
Yes. Jon is conning the public. The fact that he didn't want to fight Ngannou for 3 years and now he's not wanting to fight me for over a year.
Is that fight fucking happening?
The UFC.
Can Gane avoid the ground game long enough to outstrike Aspinall? Can Aspinall impose his will before his cardio becomes an issue? Stylistically, it's a chess match that promises chaos. However, fans should temper their excitement for now. The UFC's pay-per-view schedule is already locked in through the summer, and a big heavyweight fight likely wouldn't slot in until the fall. Still, the anticipation is palpable. Aspinall himself admitted to nearly a year of frustration due to inactivity, reiterating that his passion lies in simply fighting, not titles, not fame. He's a fighter's fighter, someone who wants to test himself against the best without the politics getting in the way. That authenticity makes the potential bout with Gane even more compelling, a true clash of skill and will. Aspinall's commentary also sheds light on the emotional toll that comes with being sidelined.
I think fans are dreaming about Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. That's the fight I think they're dreaming about.
Yes.
I think that if Stipe wins the fight or Jon Jones wins the fight, the way that both of those guys are.
For nearly a year, he didn't know when or if he'd get the chance to step back into the octagon. It wasn't just a professional setback, it was a personal one. Fighting is more than a job for him, it's an identity. When he speaks about being sick of getting asked about Jon Jones, there's a weariness in his voice, not from disrespect, but from uncertainty. Finally having clarity and a potential opponent on the horizon seems to have reignited his competitive fire. This is a man who trains every day not for cameras or accolades, but because he genuinely loves the grind, and that makes him dangerous. Fighters with nothing to lose and everything to prove are often the most lethal, and Aspinall now finds himself in exactly that position. If and when the Gane fight is announced, expect fireworks, both in the cage and in the build-up. While some fighters are on the cusp of greatness, others are confronting painful realities.
Jon, in my opinion, if you look at his body of work over the last 15 years, he's like as close as you can get to perfection as possible. He's like 37, 38 years old, but not only that, he's got a million miles on the clock. So he's got a lot of damage on the body.
Sean O'Malley, the colorful and explosive bantamweight star, recently suffered his second loss to Merab Dvalishvili. The rematch was even more definitive than the first. O'Malley admitted that this version of Merab was completely different, stronger, sharper, and smarter. Despite working diligently on his takedown defense and conditioning, O'Malley couldn't overcome Merab's relentless pressure and gas tank. Losing to the same opponent twice is more than a competitive setback. It's a branding crushing blow for a fighter like O'Malley, who built his reputation on spectacular knockouts and viral moments. Now, with the title picture at bantamweight effectively closed off to him, O'Malley faces a crossroads. A third fight with Merab is highly unlikely unless Merab loses the belt, which seems improbable given his dominance. So where does O'Malley go from here? The most obvious answer is up, to featherweight. He's already hinted at the move in past interviews, and now, more than ever, it makes sense. At 145, the slate is clean. New opponents, new matchups, and new opportunities await. One especially tantalizing possibility is a rematch with Aljamain Sterling, who has also transitioned to featherweight. Their previous bout ended controversially.
It's funny, people are saying, you just have a bunch of yes men around you. I'm like, if you watch round 1, 3, and 5 closely, no commentating, the number one criteria as a judge is to judge for damage. Motherfucker got a bloody nose and got his head snapped back in round 1.
And a second meeting could not only generate fan interest, but give O'Malley a chance at redemption. Moreover, moving to featherweight could help him avoid the grueling weight cut, potentially improving his durability and cardio. It's a fresh start in a division packed with talent, and O'Malley's flair would fit right in among the big names. But the question remains, can he reinvent himself? Can he evolve beyond the highlight reel finishes and adapt to the grind-heavy realities of top-tier MMA? Reflecting on his loss, O'Malley gave one of the most honest post-fight interviews of his career. He acknowledged feeling unusually nervous before the rematch, haunted by how the first fight went down, and fully aware of the stakes. His respect for Merab was evident, calling him a machine, and admitting that even with improvements, he knew the fight could play out the same way, and it did. This kind of vulnerability is rare in MMA, where bravado often masks doubt. But O'Malley's candor makes his situation even more compelling. He's not delusional. He knows exactly where he stands. And now he must decide what kind of fighter he wants to be. The next chapter in his career could define his legacy. Will he be a flashy entertainer who peaked early, or will he dig deep, make the hard adjustments, and prove he belongs among the sport's elite?
I'm that serious with this fight, you know. We are showing he's a good fighter. He hits hard, I felt that, and he will make some adjustments.
The current moment in MMA is one of transition, drama, and promise. Leaked sparring sessions, potential legacy fights, and career crossroads all converge to paint a vivid picture of a sport that never stops evolving. From Khabib's mythic dominance over Pereira behind closed doors to Usman's call for a generational clash with Makhachev, the stakes couldn't be higher. Add in Aspinall's return and O'Malley's reckoning, and you have a rich tapestry of narratives that will shape the sport for years to come. Whether in gyms, press conferences, or under the lights of the octagon, the fight never ends, and neither do the stories that make MMA the most compelling sport in the world.